Hey, this is Joe from 718 Outdoors here in Brooklyn, New York, and today we're going to talk to you about how to pack your bike. So we're going to do this video in three parts. The first part is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the concepts around bike packing and how to pack your bike and different ways to do it. The second is we're going to unpack all of my bikes and all of my bags and talk about what's in all the bags I pack for a season that's going to last 25 trips or so this year. And the third part is we'll actually talk about the bike itself, some of the decisions I've made over the years in terms of leading trips and what works for me. So thanks for joining, and let's get started. So first, a little background about me. My name is Joe. I'm the owner of 718 Outdoors. I've led probably 150 bike camping trips over the years. We do about 15 to 20 trips a year. We're getting ready for our 2025 season. It's a cold, blustery March, which you might be able to tell on this video. But anyway, I start packing at this time of year to get ready for the season. And I do get a lot of questions about what I bring, and I thought I'd make a video. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I thought I'd make a video about how I pack and what I pack and why I pack the way that I pack. So let's take a look. There are kind of two main concepts when it comes to putting bags on bikes, in my opinion. The first is the rack and pannier system, which you're kind of seeing back here. That's a rack, two panniers in the side. Maybe you call them saddlebags. Maybe you call them panniers. But it's a real simple setup. The advantage of a rack and pannier system is the dollar per liter, like what you're getting for what you're paying for, is definitely high. It's definitely highest relative to other packing methods. Also, they're pretty universal, right? You can get racks, you can get panniers. These things happen all over the place. They're not fussy. You can find them. The disadvantage to a rack and pannier system, in my opinion, is that, one, you do have a rack mechanically fastened to the bike, and that rack can fail. You're also carrying around the weight of the rack. In addition, these panniers kind of bring the center line of the bike out a bit. You're carrying weight really off to the side, so, you know, not incredibly ideal in terms of being efficient with weight distribution. But those are the positives and negatives of a rack and pannier system. Now, the other way to pack is a frame bag system, and frame bags are bags that actually attach to your bike. There's no racks or mechanical fasteners, and these tend to look pretty cool, right? They look sleek, they look like they were designed for the bike. And there are some advantages. One is that it kind of keeps the weight on the center line of the bike, which is really nice. I'm looking at a couple of bags here. And the second is that it really forces you to really think about what you're going to pack. You can't just chuck everything in like a pannier. You have to really think about how you're packing. Some of the negatives of frame bags, really the big one is the cost, right? This is about 4 liters, you know, 100 to 120 bucks. You know, the algebra on that versus a pair of panniers, which could be about $200 with 32 liters. So this bike that I'm doing this year is kind of a combination of both systems that I've just described. The frame bag system and also the rack and pannier system. So no incredibly great reason as to why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, but let me enlighten you a little bit more about the process this year. So last year I went with a real traditional, just 2 panniers on the back and a tent and maybe a few things up front, but a lot of the weight was in the back of the bike. And some of the issues that I had were, you know, going down hills fast, you had some shimmying and those kinds of situations. So what I did this year was took a lot of the heavier things and kind of moved them into a frame bag. So I'm trying to move some of the weight to the front of the bike. In addition, I'm using a handlebar bag this year. So we're going to unpack those things and see what's inside. And also, one thing I should note is when I do pack, I think about the things that I'm going to need really fast, right? The things I'm going to want to grab super fast when we're on a trip, right? And that means, to me, there's 3 things. It's a first aid kit, bike tools, and rain jacket. So again, those are things that I need to grab really, really fast, and I need to know exactly where they are. So in addition to knowing where things are, I like to kind of organize the bike into a couple of different sections, right? We have the cockpit section, or the front. We have kind of like amidships, things that happen in the middle, and then we have what's going on in the rear. So in my mind, when I'm packing, I'm kind of making a note of where these things are. Okay, front bag. This is a bag from Arkel. It's their burrito bag, fully waterproof, about 6, I think it's 4 liters actually. I've been working with Arkel for many years, so I'm trying this bag out for the first time. In this front bag, a fully waterproof bag, are 2 of those things I just described that I need really, really fast. Tools and first aid kit. And first aid kit. So opening these up really quick, both of these kits, the way I describe them is that they're kind of based on what happens to cyclists in a real general sense, right? So in terms of what's going to happen on your bike, you're dealing with a lot of flat tires, a lot of those kinds of issues. So this first aid kit, this bike toolkit is really set up around, you know, dealing with the things that can happen on a bike that are repairable. Similarly, first aid kit, same thing, right? You start thinking about the things that happen to cyclists that are kind of fixable out on the road, and those are, and I don't say fixable, but treatable. You know, road rash, you're going to start talking about having to immobilize collarbones, that kind of thing. A lot of road rash, skin kind of abrasions and things like that. So this first aid kit has a you know, tourniquet, hopefully I'll never have to use, but a splint. It gets into a lot of skin care in terms of first aid, antiseptic wipes, wound care. So when you open this up, all of these kits, all of these tools, all of these things inside the first aid kit are all kind of organized by, you know, sub kits, I guess is the best way to describe it. From wound care to first aid creams to, you know, splints, medications, all these kinds of things. So the idea is that if there is an emergency, this kit comes out, it's dumped on the ground, and I'm able to kind of grab the kit that I need to kind of get moving. So moving a little bit towards the back here of the front of the bike, I have a feed bag, and what this feed bag is, this is from Roadrunner, and this is another place to keep all kinds of good items. So I keep this GoPro that I'm have in my hand, kind of sticks out right here. I also keep a battery. This battery is attached to the dynamo hub, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But around this thing, you're going to talk about things that you really need fast. Like this is a multi-tool, right? This is a 4, 5, and 6, really fast. Kind of coming around this side, this is something that I've kind of learned about over the years, is that this is just a clean bandana. And its only job is to be a clean bandana, meaning that if I get sweat in my eyes or grease or oil or anything like that, I'm able to use this and kind of clean my eyes out, because riding around in sweaty eyes is awful. So that's kind of this feedback here. Also on the front, I'll have a Garmin device. My phone sits right here. I just answered a phone call, right? So my phone's in my pocket. So the phone will kind of sit like right there. Phone, Garmin, and then a bell from Spur Cycle. So that kind of takes care of all the things that happen in the front of the bike. And the front of the bike, the big theme here is I need to grab it, and I need to grab it really fast. All right, now we're getting into amidships, middle of the bike, and what's going on. And again, the theory is with this longer frame bag here, what I wanted to try to do is kind of gather some of the heavier things that I had in my panniers last year, kind of start moving them forward, right? This is a nice long kind of container, so I was able to put some tools and things like that. So let's unpack what's going on in here. First thing is tent stakes. Chuck them over there. You're gonna have, again, tools, right? So we're talking about saw, foldable saw, and a knife. This is an amazing tool. This is a tool that hammers in stakes in the ground, but also is kind of a multi-use tool to scrape and all the things you'd need with a hammer. It's 11 ounces, it's by MSR, it's amazing. Using this in conjunction with a knife is actually pretty awesome, because you can actually split all kinds of wood for firewood, so that's really neat. All right, so finishing out what's kind of in the front bag here. These are two kind of experimental things this year. I don't know if I'm gonna actually bring these or not, but you got a sewing kit and you got a glasses repair kit, you know, tools. And finally, the last two things in the middle are going to be a Garmin InReach, right? This is a satellite communication device. And in addition, I have a electric hand warmer. I don't particularly use this myself, but I bring this on trips that are cold. You know, we have a cold trip coming up, you know, for folks that are going to be potentially, you know, not have the right gear or things like that. So this is a electronic hand warmer. So also in the middle of the bike are my water bottles. I am going through a process right now of removing all of my plastic water bottles just to get away from the whole microplastic thing and not drink, you know, not keep in touch with as much plastic as I can. But conceptually what happens here is I have 3 water bottles. I just use these 2 for my ride generally, back and forth. Fill them up, drink, fill them up. This one down here, although it does get dirty, that one down there is actually backup, right? So I know that when I'm starting to drink out of that water bottle down low, that I really am starting to get low on water and I should do something about it. In addition, it's also for, you know, as a group leader, it's also great to have in case people need extra water. So that's kind of a backup plan kind of thing. So I really try to use just these two and then this as a backup. Okay, let's talk about the rear of the bike. The rear of the bike has two panniers from Arcal. They are 32 liters across the pair, so that's 16 each, and they are very, very waterproof. In addition, I have my tent on the back here. But what I usually do with this pannier, which is the drive side pannier or the right pannier, I usually have my sleeping bag, right? So if I open this up and take a look, again, trying to film this as one person, has some challenges, but we're doing it. Let's see what's going on in this pannier. All right, so you're looking at, I have camp shoes from Burt. These are fairly amazing camp shoes. It's really nice to get out of the shoes that you're wearing and kind of get into any kind of camp shoes. I've tried Crocs, I've tried flip-flops, Chakas, all kinds of things. These are amazing. And the company's called Burt. They're made in Colombia. Pretty incredible. And they pack really nice and flat, which I really like. This is a water bladder. This particular trip we have coming up, there's some water challenges. So there's a water bladder in there. Throw that off to the side. And I won't drag this out because it's a pain in the butt. But what you're looking at here is a sleeping bag. So during cold weather trips, I have 3 sleeping bags. I have a 15 degree, 30, and a 45. So cold weather trips, and again, we're getting ready to go off in March here. I'm going to bring my 15 degree sleeping bag in addition to having it rolled up with an insulated liner. I have an insulated air mattress or insulated sleeping pad, and then a cotton liner. So it's a pretty big assembly, and it takes up most of the space in this pannier, which kind of sucks. But as we get into warmer weather and I start using my 45 degree bag, that's tiny compared to what else is going on in there, so I'm able to have some extra space. So that's what's going on in the body of the rear pannier. In this pocket here I have, hard to see, I don't want to pull these out too much, these are cables, brake cables, shift cables. I like to keep them nice and flat here. And on either side of these panniers there's a pocket front and a pocket rear. And I'm very particular about what I put in there because I need to know where these things are. In this rear pocket on the right side is my headlamp. So the idea is that it's dark, we got to camp, I need to find my headlamp in the dark, I know where it is. In the front here, this is where I'm putting my wallet and my keys. I've lost my wallet and keys on on trips over the years, so this is a ritualistic place of like knowing exactly where they are all the time. So that really takes care of the right side pannier. So here we go with the left pannier, and this is where the party is. And this is where basically everything else that I haven't mentioned yet is, right? So what I mentioned before, the first thing I want to be able to grab is a rain jacket. So it's right at the top of this pannier. When it starts raining, out of nowhere, able to stop and get that on as quick as possible. Let's keep digging. I bring a camp chair from Big Agnes. Kind of looks like that. Camp chairs, for those of you that haven't used them, are fairly amazing. It's kind of the one luxury item I allow myself to bring on these trips. It's so much better than sitting on the ground or sitting on a park bench. And for people that are new to our trips, invariably what they'll say after going on the first trip is like, next time I'm bringing a camp chair. So if you can get a camp chair, bring one. It's really, really amazing. They are a little bigger, but totally worth it. These are the glasses I wear. I don't wear they're kind of a sport goggle kind of glasses, but I have those packed right now. Let's see what else we got going on in here. And this is what I call personal hygiene, right? So this is all the things that you're going to need to take to the shower. So soap, clothesline, toothpaste, vitamins, just all the things you're going to need, towel, are all going to be in this, right? So I try to keep this really close and really together. We can go take a look at what's inside this really quick while we're here. We're already here, so let's do it. You got extra toilet paper, you got clothesline, you got a pill case for, you know, vitamins, things like that, bug spray, soap, and then looking back in there, you got all kinds of like, you know, Q-tips and clothespins and those kinds of things. So again, I call this bag personal hygiene, and it kind of keeps it all really, really tight. It's getting windy back here. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do go out is what's called fire. This is a fire kit. And in this fire kit is just all kinds of ways to start a fire. I'm gonna dump it out on this table. Let's see what we got. All right. So if you look at this fire kit here, it's just a lot of lighters, pocket bellows, which is On this table, actually, are the two things that I would not ever go on a trip without. One is a pocket bellows, and this is an extendable stick that you blow through to essentially help light a fire. Absolutely unbelievable. The second thing I wouldn't go on without is my clothesline. I wash my clothes every day, and this allows me to take fewer clothes, but this is really important. A clothesline that has a braided cord, so you don't need clothespins. It's really awesome. But those two things, both less than $10, are probably the two most important pieces of gear that I have. In addition, this fire kit is all kinds of tinder, all kinds of sparkers and way to start fires, lighters, all kinds of stuff. You know, in June and July and August, you know, campfire's fun, you don't need it, but when you're camping in March and April, you really need to get it going. So that's what this is all about. Okay, what else is in here? This is called straps and such. This is essentially the junk drawer that you have in your kitchen. I'm not going to open this because it's full of crazy stuff, but it's essentially every kind of strap, zip tie, twist tie, rubber band, all kinds of stuff. The things that are going to break on people's bikes, like fenders that break off, racks and bags that fall off, tents that need repairing. This is basically a repair kit for just tons and tons of stuff. So all kinds of straps, excuse me, that I've collected over the years. So, straps and such. All right, let's see what we got. So clothing, you know, this isn't really packed for clothing yet because I'm not really sure of the weather. But what this is a dry bag from Outdoor Research, and it's a two-sided dry bag where you're able to put clean clothes in one side and dirty clothes in the other and kind of manage it along your trip. So this side says, wash me. And this side says, if I can find it, it's upside down, of course, Joe, wear me. Right, so this is a great way to kind of manage clothes on the road. I don't have really much in there. I have like a rain hat and, you know, my towel and things like that right now. But I'll start packing my clothes probably this week as we are traveling very soon. So that's clothing. This is a kerchief that I wear around my neck. Let's see if I can do something like this. You know, it looks very Wes Anderson, I get it. But I'll tell you this. Like wearing a kerchief around your neck is really valuable and really helpful for three reasons. The first is that it gives you a first aid device that you can grab very quickly. If someone has any kinds of issues, you're taking this off and you're able to kind of use it very fast. The second is that it covers your neck, right? It covers the, in terms of, you know, sunburn and sun stuff on your neck. And the third is you can wash these things or wet them, and there it goes. Having a wet kerchief around your neck in the summer is fantastic. All right, so we're gonna empty out more stuff. We're almost getting to be the end of it here. In here we're gonna have, as I reach over, some of my cooking situation. Cooking's all over the place for me. You know, sometimes I will, just get all stuff kind of half-packed here. Sometimes I'll cook stuff. Sometimes I'll just get stuff and eat inside, you know, grocery store, sandwich, things like that. This year what I'm doing is I'm going to try to use, and a lot of times I would have in the past used, you know, a stove with a gas canister. And this year I didn't want to go that route. I've been on a bunch of trips where, you know, you kind of start running out of gas and the group starts running out of gas, and then it becomes a little problem because there's no place to get gas. So what this is, I'm going to see if I can do this with one hand, and the answer is probably going to be no. But this is, I can almost mock it up. It's a titanium. It's a wood stove, right? So I'm able to grab wood, put it in. It's like a little furnace. It's amazing. And then this is just a really quick cook kit that I have. And in here, what we're going to have, sorry for the one-handed cameraman scenario, but it's totally worth it, I'm guaranteed. If I could open this thing, let's see, here it is. All right, sorry for that, shaky cam. You know, basically just a mug. And in here I have like cleaning supplies, folding spoon, can opener, neoprene thing to grab hot other things. So this is just a quick kind of auxiliary cooking kit that I have here. So again, I'm all over the place with cooking. I don't really have a strategy that I use all the time. I try to mix things up. So this year it's going to be the wood stove, and it's going to be, you know, being able to boil oatmeal, things like that. All right, I think the last thing that's going to be in this bag, we're almost done. Let's see, oof, reaching in, is this. And this is just, this is I always mispronounce it. I want to call it Tegaderm. It's like that skin kind of replacement or skin protection, you know, in case of a wound or injury. It's pretty cool. It just kind of goes on. You can kind of see the directions there. In addition, I have a bunch of newsprint. Newsprint is for you know, if your shoes get wet at night, you can ball up some wet newspaper and put them in your shoes. So the last two things on this bike that we'll talk about before we talk about the bike are the two pockets, right? So in this pocket here, this is a 20-liter collapsible backpack, waterproof. So that kind of gives you extra storage if you need it. All of a sudden you're at the grocery store and you want to buy 20 liters of stuff, or you know, whatever you need storage for. It's a nice extra piece of storage. And in my front pocket, which is going to be over here, hard to see, but this is where I keep my tubes. You know, not incredibly exciting, but that's where the tubes are. So that's kind of it. That's all I bring. And again, I'm a guy who goes on a lot of camping trips. I've probably led about, like I said, about 150 bike camping trips, but that's kind of it. Well, wait a minute, it's not it, because I didn't talk about my tent. So my tent is right here. This is a Big Agnes. It's a one-person copper spur, so nice and small. I mounted the tent with volet straps to my rack, and in addition, I actually have this kind of a rubber netting, not a rubber netting, kind of an elastic cargo net that you see for bike baskets generally. And I have that kind of as a secondary wrap, because what that's really great for is, like, if you're, you know, finding souvenirs or need to put your rain jacket there because it rains and stops and starts, it's just a great place to store things. Again, ancillary storage. So that's kind of what that's for. So now that really is everything I take for a person that trips, you know, goes on millions and millions of trips. That's kind of it. So now what we're going to do is talk a little bit about how the bike is set up, and you guys will be ready to go. Of course, I forgot something. This is a bag that I took out of this pannier. Also, this is like cables, chargers, batteries, and all kinds of stuff. You know, we try to convince ourselves that we're getting away from technology going on these trips, but you know, the reality of cameras and phones and Garmin's and all that stuff is, I have a bag here that has a lot of different cables. And again, this is thinking about a group. I'm thinking about things that people might need and perhaps they forgot. So a couple extra cables there. And now that's really it. And although this isn't a super nerdy bike video, I want to kind of show you what's set up on the bike and what are some of the things that I find important for myself. And let's just take a look real quick. All right, so the first thing that kind of jumps out to most folks is I have a dynamo hub, right? This dynamo hub is wired up to this light, so as the wheel turns, automatic light. In addition, working our way back, there's a rear tail light too, which is right there, right? So that's just a proposition that allows you to not have to worry about lights so much. It's just automatic. And out of this light, which is the sine wave beacon, I have a USB out, so I'm able to have a cord that comes up and charge the battery that we talked about earlier, right? The other thing that jumps out is a handlebar setup. These are Surly corner bars. And I have bar end shifters, which is kind of a weird kind of thing in this age of everything being electronic. These are friction shifters on both sides. So it's a 3x9 drivetrain, which is a real traditional high gear range kind of drivetrain. And it's basically shifted by these shifters here. There's no clicks at all, it's all friction. For brakes, I have hydraulic disc brakes. Again, a little bit of a modern nod, but with a heavier bike, you know, stopping power is really important. So these are hydraulic disc brakes. Coming down here to the pedals, I use flat pedals. I don't clip in. I find that I've been on enough trips where folks are clipping in, maybe their pedal brakes or their cleat brakes, and things happen. So this is a nice complicated thing. One of the things I like to think about with my bike is that I don't want to be the problem, right? I want someone else to be the problem so I can help them fix it. The group leader, I try not to be the problem, so I try to have a simple bike. So just a couple of the other things. This is a Brooks C19 Cambium. It's the only saddle I really ride with, and I don't ride with padded shorts. I rode maybe 5,000 miles last year, 4,000, between 4 and 5. I don't wear padded shorts because, again, I find that this is perfectly comfortable for me, and I really love it. What else are we talking about? The bike has fenders. I wasn't a fender person for many years. I was always like, oh, they make noise and they rattle. But, you know, the dirt, the grime of being out on the road for all those days and weeks, you know, things get dirty and gross. This is a nice way to kind of deal with that. So I'm trying to think what else that sticks out on this bike, and that's kind of really it. It is a very traditional setup in terms of gearing. Again, a 3x9 with bar end shifters with hydraulic disc brakes. The frame itself is a 2014 Salsa Via. I've been using it for about 1.5 years now, and I just love it. All right, so that's kind of the bike. And any questions, certainly in the comments below, ask me about some questions, or ask me some questions. So that's kind of it, and I hope this was really helpful. I mean, my whole shtick is really trying to make things accessible and attainable, right? This isn't super titanium bike shop guy kind of stuff. This is stuff that really anyone can get and anyone can really use. So what I did is I've included my packing list in a link below, so you can kind of see exactly what it is I bring. You know, I didn't unpack everything and talk about that. That video would be like an hour and a half long, but maybe I do that in the future for sure. But anyway, thanks for watching. And again, the whole point here is to just show you that you can do this. A rack, 2 panniers, and you're bike camping, man. There's no secret to it. There's no right way to do it. And what I always do tell people, I'll leave you with this. Again, as someone that's led a lot of trips with a lot of people, it's not about your bike, it's not about your gear, and it's not about your fitness level. And those things sound ridiculous to say, but it's true. I've seen things that I can't describe in terms of people that really make it happen. This whole thing is about just wanting to do it. So use us as a resource. Some comments below if you want. Email me off the website. My role here in this world is to get people doing this and to really enjoy this lifestyle. But again, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And hope to see you in the next video.